Okay, we're live. It's story time, folks. United we stood, and George Washington would lead through the Revolutionary War. We fought to be freed. 10 points. $100 maybe? Just kidding. 100 virtual dollars for you if you knew that this was our Otto's Tales President's Day book ready for your families. Hey, everybody. Good morning. It's Jill Simonian from PragerU Kids and our PragerU Resources for Educators and Parents membership program. It's Tuesday, and Amala is not here with me, which I am very sad about, but I'm very happy that someone else very special and near and dear to my heart is here with me. Who's here?
Wow, I'm near and dear and very special. Thank you.
Because
for those who don't know, I'm Taylor. I'm a producer of Will and Amala Live and do a bunch of other things here at PragerU. But happy to be here with you, Jill, helping to operate some of the technology.
Yes, I say you're near and dear to my heart because you were one of the very first people I met when I started here with PragerU Kids a year ago, and you have Taylor's a gem, and I sort of.
Aww.
I just grab his hand and say, I need you to help me with this. And he always says yes. And so I appreciate it because we've got crazy things to talk about today.
We do.
Okay, so the headline in this live is, please read it and I will go into depth. Go ahead.
Oh, I read it. Okay.
Oh, someone reads it because I don't have it pulled up on my screen.
Maskless California teacher rants against students protesting mask mandates.
Yes. So anyone, parents, educators, caregivers, grandparents, anyone in California who has children or loved ones in school know that yesterday and today, I think it's fair to say we have reached a fever pitch beyond all fever pitches regarding these mandates that are being forced upon millions of school children across the state of California. Yesterday, California government put out a statement saying that the indoor mask mandate that has been in effect will in fact be lifted very soon. However, schools will continue to enforce mandates upon children regardless of any kind of medical choice or parents' rights or any kind of status. And also on top of that, all of us here in LA County are losing our minds because LA County will continue to impose mandates upon all of us despite what the state of California said. So people are losing it and we're trying to stay calm. I like to say walk with calm conviction. We are parents. We have fundamental rights to raise our children. I myself rescued my children out of our public school system. However, seeing what's going on to all of the other children is literally breaking my heart. And we have a recent, one of hundreds that are circulating now, videos that was shared on Instagram yesterday that I found from an account called Rooted Wings. Shout out to Rooted Wings. She's been in the fight against mandates for a long time, and I have been a longtime fan personally. I say that personally. But let's take a look at this video on Instagram that she shared regarding these students, high school students, peacefully protesting these mandates outside.
Okay? Precedent law by the Supreme Court, because you guys are so sure that you've got all the answers. Precedent law by Supreme Court says that a school determines the manner, the time, and the place of protest. Your choice today is not an organized protest. It is a personal protest, individual choice. Everyone will be marked truant if you are not in class and prepared for learning within 30 minutes. The determination of what happens with those truancies will be dealt with by our district office, but that is the decision made, okay? You guys think that you have a choice that you don't want to do this. How many of you have flown on an airplane during this pandemic? How many of you got kicked off the airplane? Oh, wait, I'm sorry, what? Help me understand.
Okay, so that video is allegedly a teacher talking to the students.
I'm seeing in the comments it's a principal as well.
Oh, it's a principal.
Yeah,
okay, no,
it
it very
update our headlines. She's probably a teacher too, but I was at one point.
Yeah, no, it very well may be a principal. This is Corona Norco School District, which is in fact in Riverside County in California, which is ironic because Riverside was known, for really, the sheriff in Riverside was known for pushing back against these mandates when they were first forced upon. So this isn't a school district that seems to be constantly bullied by their local law enforcement officials by any means. This is a county that that has really celebrated freedom of thought and action for a very long time throughout the last year. And again, Corona Norco School District. Here's the thing, regardless of how anyone feels about masks and protests and choice, my question is this. I always think of the parents' rights. I want to know, were any of, and chime in if you happen to know, and I admittedly have not read all the comments because this very well may be communicated in the Instagram post that this was shared with by Rooted Wings, but I'm curious if any parents were notified that their children were going to be essentially bullied and threatened and talked to like that, in a very threatening way by their school principal or administrator. Because I'll tell you what's been happening in real time with a lot of the parents in our prep membership group who have been communicating. A lot of times these kids are bullied by teachers about these mandates, and the parents aren't even notified during the day that their child was maybe separated and put somewhere else, or threatened with suspension, or removed from the classroom and put in a room by themselves. Many administrators in schools are failing to notify parents. Now, if I was a parent of one of those kids that I would have likely endorsed to say, show up without a mask, this is your right to protest, as so many agree with the right to protest and freedom of speech, I would be livid if I was not notified that that is what was going on, and that administrator or teacher or principal was talking that way to my child without me being there. That is a parent's rights issue to me.
Yeah, and there's a huge conversation going on right now about curriculum transparency, but this is a whole different part of that whole conversation that I think often goes overlooked, is that what about the way your students are being talked to? What about the way that they're being treated by the administration and herded here or there? What sort of mandates are being imposed on students? Is that transparent? Other than and we covered a story, I think you did on this live, of a student that was that received the vaccine without his parents' permission.
Yeah.
And it was pushed on him by a school here in California, by some school administrators. And so it's the curriculum transparency is a huge deal, but this is a whole different side of that conversation that I think is important to keep in mind as well.
Absolutely. It's wrong. I mean, this is wrong. And I was the number one parent who would always support teachers and administrators. I used to tell my kids, if the teacher says something, the teacher is right. If your principal says something, the principal was right. I was previously raising my kids to listen. You respect authority. You respect authority. But now, as parents, it is our responsibility to be informed, ask questions so that we do, in fact, attain transparency, and then also don't be scared to question what the quote unquote authorities are saying and bullying us about, because the authorities, as we have found, are not always correct. And if it's morally wrong, it's wrong, period. And that's state-sanctioned child abuse. And any administrator or school or educational institution that is complicit with that you're complicit with child abuse, state-sanctioned child abuse. Yeah. One more thing about, I want to go to the California Ed Code. Parents, know your rights. One of the strange, twisted things here about California, if I can speak frankly, is that California has, in the past few decades, has implemented a lot of ed codes and rules that really prohibit schools from punishing students, from suspending students who are in fact causing harm to others on campus. It is very, very difficult, if you read the guidelines and laws now, for a student to be suspended for a behavioral issue or a disruptive issue. You essentially can't do it anymore. So in the twisted world that California now seems to be operating in, many of our ed codes can in fact help us parents stand against these mandates. Ed Code 48900. Children in grades K through 8 may not be suspended from school for their refusal to wear a mask. Even in those instances where suspension may be a potential disciplinary measure, the school must first exhaust other means of correction before imposing suspension as a last resort. A child cannot be suspended for a first offense unless the principal or superintendent determines that the pupil's presence causes a danger to persons. Whereas there is no evidence of harm, not wearing a facial decoration on your face, where there's no evidence of harm, they cannot suspend your child. Any suspension must be no more than 5 consecutive school days. Ed Code 48911. So this is our chance as parents to really dive into what our rights are and to utilize those rights in the best way possible. Okay, so any comments about this? Everyone, lots of parents are really mad. Anyone leaving any comments that I can respond to? If not, that's okay. I'll move on to NewsGuard.
Scott, if you see any, let us know.
Yeah, I guess one of the main ones out there right now is what's morally wrong about wearing cloth on your face?
There's nothing morally wrong. Here's the thing that I stand by. I may not agree with one's choice to do that, but if you deem that that is appropriate, then absolutely go ahead and do it. That is not for me to say you need to take that off. If you want to wear it, absolutely wear it. The problem that I have as a mom is mandates that don't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Mandates that don't make sense anymore.
Hey, you talk about fundamental morality, thou shalt not lie, and complying with mandates that don't make sense is a form of lying. It could be construed as that.
Live not
but
by
also
lies.
The hypocrisy of lifting a mask mandate statewide and continuing to impose it on students who we know, according to science, according to facts, are less vulnerable to bad outcomes from the disease. And so why are the least vulnerable the ones that are having the most freedom taken away?
Yeah.
Still, while everyone else, including their teachers, roam free.
Yeah. And now that we have seen the past 2 years, these children are mentally damaged.
It's not without
on a health
harm.
level. It's not without harm. Physically damaged,
delays in
mentally
speech
damaged,
development.
delays in speech development, delays in learning letters, numbers, delays in human interaction, social and emotional cues. These are all very important. So, yeah, it's not morally wrong to wear a mask on your face if you believe that you want to, but it's morally wrong to force someone else to do something that does not make logical scientific sense. That's my response. Okay. All right. Should we move on to censorship?
Next happy topic.
I find no joy in this, but all I do is laugh, as many of you know. Okay. NewsGuard. Let's pull up this next article. Is this the article from, I believe it's
Fox
from,
News.
it's from Fox News. Okay, so NewsGuard, I do have this headline. A watchdog group is irked by teachers union, NewsGuard pact to combat disinformation. So basically, NewsGuard is this entity that likes to fact check various media outlets saying this is fake news, this is real news, this is fake news. This all sounds wonderful in theory. However, please fill us in about NewsGuard. NewsGuard happens to be a very, correct me if I'm wrong, Taylor, a very left-favoring organization that continues to censor us here at PragerU. We actually have a petition right now challenging NewsGuard's power over what people can and can't see online. And I think we do have that link shared if you want to find it.
It's below in the description, and I've got it pulled up here. You can check it out on our website. But essentially, NewsGuard made a partnership with one of the largest teachers unions, I think, in the United States, reaching tens of millions of students. And NewsGuard is this little plugin on a browser that rates the quality of the information on the websites that students are using for their homework or for whatever. And so they're judged by the rating that is put by NewsGuard. And what Brent Bosel, who's done from Media Research Council, I believe it's called, who's done a 5-minute video with us at PragerU. His organization looked into this and found extraordinary left-wing bias in its ratings. Liberal outlets were rated 27 points higher on average than news organizations on the right. It goes on to say, the study, based on a list compiled by all sides classified by their bias on a left-to-right scale, indicated that 93% of liberal sites were deemed credible compared to only 66% of right-leaning outlets. So this is ostensibly a unbiased rating system that just so happens to rate the information that students are allowed to look at 27 points higher for the liberal outlets and liberal sources. So imagine having like so they're calling it an internet librarian. Imagine having a librarian at your child's school that only recommends that they read far left sources and books, and that steers them away from anything that speaks of traditional values or conservatism or anything like that. And we're not saying that we want a conservative biased information checker. We just want a fair one, and NewsGuard has demonstrated that they haven't, and they've rated PragerU unfairly. We have a whole petition about that. There's an email exchange between our CEO, Marissa Streit, and their leadership that you can actually read on our website. But this is something that is a huge deal because it's impacting the information that tens of millions of students across the country are being encouraged to look at.
Yeah, it curbs freedom of press, freedom of information, freedom of thought, freedom to become educated with a variety of sources. Now, there's a difference in blocking sites that are completely fake. Of course, I have a background in television news, and so I'm never interested in serving up what really is fake news without credible sources to children to learn from and absorb. I'm not interested in that. But when you have organizations like this that really are radically trying to steer students' minds in a certain direction unabashedly, that's a crime. Against education.
And it's very sneaky and under the radar, too. It's just this subtle thing that's on their browsers that it gives a rating on websites. As, I guess I can't use this website because it's not credible. And in their minds, they see these associations. And as you're learning and growing up, well, it's like, I can't rely I can only rely on the sources that are approved. And like, it just goes on to this bigger conversation of like, we had Brian Stelter on CNN the other day complaining that people are listening to Joe Rogan too much because rather than real newsrooms, because it's this certified mainstream stuff is the only acceptable view. And if you have anything, regardless of now that all those outlets are just now coming around to acknowledge the facts that we've been screaming for the last 2 years. Like I just saw an article yesterday that from a mainstream outlet that was saying, oh my gosh, vitamin D can help fight against COVID-19. And it gives you a stronger resistance to it or whatever. Yeah. That's something where Joe Rogan's been saying for 2 years. So it's just funny that all this culture of certification, it's just this effort to control, and it's getting all the way into our students, the information that they're allowed to use in their school reports, in their book reports, in their research, in their homework, and it's very real, but it's subtle, but it's a huge problem.
Well, it's extremely dangerous because when you have children, especially my kids like in elementary school, trying to do a report and wanting to get a good grade and working hard. I mean, you talk about parents and kids and earning grades and wanting to, get into college and make themselves better and all of that. And when you have a threatening situation at school where you are going to get dinged, so to speak, or you're going to get, a talking to, or you're going to get reprimanded for using a site that wasn't deemed worthy by an slanted organization like NewsGuard, that is scary to children, and it's intimidating to parents because they say, we just want our kids to get into a good college. We have to strip all of this away, and we have to start asking questions. Parents, I challenge you, just ask your school district, hey, out of curiosity, you guys using NewsGuard? See if you can find out. See if you can find out. Ask questions. We always talk about that in our prep membership group. Ask questions, ask questions. Don't let things slide by, because the more they have to answer you, the less traction they can achieve. Yeah. All right. So now let's talk about our fun stuff. Any comments about NewsGuard? Questions?
No, not as of right now.
Not as of right now. Okay, let's move.
It's hard for me to do all these things at once.
It's hard to. I am asking a lot of these guys. Oh, we do read your comments. I go back and I read the comments, and we appreciate everyone who weighs in. Fun stuff, kids shows. This is the grand finale of our lives here, because we come to say hi, to offer support, to keep you informed, to inspire parents and grandparents and teachers to really stand up for truth and education and ask questions at your schools and district and really have a sense of what is going on. But we are also committed to providing activities and resources to give to our children to offset so much of this nonsense of what's in school. I read a little snippet of our President's Day book. This is our President's Day book, Otto's Tales for kindergarten through second graders. I wonder if NewsGuard would rate this as misinformation about George Washington and Abraham Lincoln and the true meaning of presidency and of President's Day and why we celebrate President's Day. It is Washington and Lincoln's birthdays. Great book to order. You can get it on Amazon. The link is in there. But then we also have a new, what do you have first up there?
I've got the Craftory episode.
Oh, we make cookies. You can play a little bit. Am I allowed to talk over it?
Sure.
No?
I can turn it down a little bit.
Okay, yeah, turn it
and
down.
he was actually
there I
log
am.
cabin in Kentucky. He educated himself
There we
by
go.
reading many books and became a lawyer. People called him Honest Abe, and he served as America's 16th president from 1861 until 1865 during our country's Civil War, when the Union Army in the North was fighting the Confederate Army in the South. Lincoln was the president who freed slaves in the South with a very
the
important
education.
document
Where's
called
the part where we
the
make the chocolate
Emancipation
hat?
Oh, I'm gonna skip ahead a little
Proclamation.
bit.
Now, later that summer, in 1863, he abolished slavery. Let's
Well, you
finish
get
his
it.
beard.
Good.
Oh, there's the
Okay,
beard.
some stuff.
Okay, so you get it. Craftory is
Tons of
crafts plus history, and the kids watch it and they can do the activities, but they're also learning history at the same time. So we got these
Because
President's
what
Day
makes
cookies.
chocolate better?
More chocolate.
Truer words have never been
Smiley face.
spoken.
Okay. There we
That's
go.
great. I want
Thanks
to
it.
make it, and I was enjoying my history lesson right there,
Good.
learning things.
Yes, you got a history lesson, and that's something that kids and teachers can do in their classroom. The little history lesson with the activity. Those are the types of things we do. And we also have a pop quiz for you. I got a pop quiz for you about our new digital magazine, Taylor. Pop quiz. Did you know that Arizona, California, Nevada, and Utah are American states because of President James Knox Polk?
I did not know that, but at least I know the answer to. At least I know my answer is that I did not know it, but I did not know that bit of trivia.
I did not know that either. So let's pull up the digital magazine that
So
we
do I
have.
pass that quiz since I knew my answer, or did I fail because I didn't know the information?
You failed. No, you passed. You always pass. It's all good.
All right.
So one of the more, I like to say, magical offerings that we have is our digital magazines for kids. So much history packed into these. They are fun, informative magazines that give kids facts and history, what they're not learning in school. I, truth be told, know absolutely next to nothing about President Polk. It's time I learn. We have digital magazines for presidents, women of valor, builders of America in these fun, colorful packets. You can get them free online. Everything is free. These are wonderful supplemental materials to teach our kids about the history that is really falling through the cracks. So here's a quote from James Polk that I'll end with. Ours was intended to be a plain and frugal government. Part of his inaugural address on March 4th, 1845. Aren't you glad you know now?
I am. I love the deep cuts of presidential history and all that. So I might have to pick up a copy for myself.
Pick up a copy, read it, enjoy it, pass it on to a 3rd through 6th grader, and there's all sorts of fun activities here. But keep educating our kids. PragerU Kids has you covered with all of that. Stay informed, guys. Any last questions or comments? A message of hope from any of our comments? I should look it up.
Not ones that I can read.
Not one message of hope. Here's the hope. I'm going to give hope. This is the first time in history that I can remember as a mother that parents are unifying together to take back raising our children and educating our children. I was asleep personally very, very long. I know many other parents were asleep, not knowing what was being included in our schools, what was being forced upon children in our schools. The wool has been lifted now. Now we know, those of us who know, it is time to respectfully yet strongly with conviction stand up. Do not apologize for wanting to teach our kids history. Do not apologize for fighting for diversity of thought and ideas and actions in our schools. Do not be ashamed for the values that you have, and do not be ashamed to pass those on to our kids, to teach our kids that America is not a perfect place, but it is a place worth fighting for, and it is the best place to live in this world today. Do not be ashamed. Ask questions of your district. Be brave. Speak up. Speak against mandates that go against our fundamental rights as parents. And that's the message of hope. Parents are waking up. There are more and more of us. There are power in numbers. Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
All right. Have a good one, everyone. Check out PragerU.com/kids and then join our prep membership if you want to stay informed and stay active. Thank you, Taylor.
Thank you,
joining
Jill.
me.
This was great.
Okay, bye.
Bye.